We are in pain right now. And we recognize that this couldn't have happened at a worse time. We recognize that this is happening at a time when our community, when all of America, indeed all of the world, is watching our community, that we are all collectively devastated, and we have been for over a year now by the killing of George Floyd, and that we continue to be distressed as we go through the Derek Chauvin trial. So having a police-involved shooting happen in our community and killing a young man is heartbreaking and just unfathomable. And so our entire community is filled with grief at yesterday's police-involved shooting that led to the killing of Daunte Wright, a 20-year-old young African-American male. And my hearts go out to Daunte's family and to all those who are impacted by this tragedy in our community and the world over. And while we await additional information from the BCA, which is leading this investigation, we continue to support members of our community as they gather peacefully amid our calls for transparency and accountability. Let me be clear. We will get to the bottom of this. We will do all that is within our power to make sure that justice is done for Daunte Wright. We're going to continue to meet with community leaders and to hear their voices. In fact, we did that this morning. The chief and city council members and other elected officials from the state and city staff, city manager. We had a meeting earlier with community to be able to hear their voices in this time. And we're also going to have continue to conduct press conferences and share information with the public. As I stated, we do plan to show the body camera footage. And we're going to conduct a community press conference following this as well, so that we can talk directly with leaders of our community and organizations and share this information with them as well. We're going to also be providing some crisis counseling and mental health resources to all of our community members who may need and desire such services. And our collective community is grieving. Every single life, every member of our community is important to us. And so the events, like yesterday, are tragic. And, they take each and every one of us, they take a part of us as we experience these traumatic events. Just being exposed to it, I'm sure you're all feeling the aftermath of the weightiness of what we're all feeling collectively. And so I am going to invite Chief Tim Gannon to come up, and he's going to provide you a briefing about the details of what transpired yesterday, and then we'll stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tim Gannon. It's Gannon. I'm the Chief of Police here in Brooklyn Center. I've been the chief for approximately 5 years. I've been a police officer in the city for 27. Today, I will be releasing the body-worn footage worn by the officer involved in the fatal officer-involved shooting that happened on Sunday afternoon. I've watched the video myself, and there's nothing I can say to lessen the pain of Mr. Wright's family, friends, loved ones, for that feeling of loss that they must have. That pain is shared by the community and also all those involved in the incident. What I can do is convey my deepest sympathies to the Wright family and be transparent with the information I'm aware of at this time. That will include showing a video portion from the point of deadly force used by the officer as well as the officer's immediate reaction after the use of deadly force. I caution everybody as you watch this that this will be graphic and unedited. Could I have that video start, please?
Someone turn the lights off? Just a moment here. Okay.
Go ahead. It should be on both screens. Can you turn the lights back on, please?
We're trying to determine whether or not to terminate this officer.
As you can hear, the officer, while struggling with Mr. Wright, shouts, "Taser, taser," several times. That is part of the officer's training prior to deploying a taser, which is a less lethal device. That is done to make her partners aware, as well as the subject, that a taser deployment will be imminent. During this encounter, however, the officer drew their handgun instead of their taser. For informational purposes, we train with our handguns on our dominant side and our taser on our weak side. So if you're right-handed, you carry your firearm on your right side and you carry your taser on the left. This is done purposefully and is trained. As I watch the video and listen to the officer's commands, it is my belief that the officer had the intention to deploy their taser, but instead shot Mr. Wright with a single bullet. This appears to me, from what I've viewed and the officer's reaction and distress immediately after, that this was an accidental discharge that resulted in the tragic death of Mr. Wright. I have asked the BCA to conduct an independent investigation into the shooting and death. Once they are completed, I expect they will submit their findings, independent of me, to the appropriate authorities, the appropriate attorneys that will look and review this case. I'm also stressing that I do hope for the community to be patient and allow this investigation, criminal investigation, to be completed as thoroughly as possible. I believe Mr. Wright deserves this, as do all involved. The officer is currently on administrative leave. Make a short comment about what happened last night to our community, a community that I've been a part of for 27 years. I've seen some of the worst damage to this city I've ever seen in those years. Again, peaceful protesting, expressing yourself, we fully support that. But the ravaging of our businesses, the looting of our stores, the destruction to our pharmacies, we cannot tolerate that. I'm hoping that the community will have this level of transparency and know that this is being investigated by the correct authorities, which is the BCA. Unfortunately, they're not here today, but they are handling the investigation. And I have very little information besides what I've just given to you because they are handling that investigation. Mr. Mayor, do you have any comments you want to make?
All right, so we're going to open it up for questions, but I just want to reiterate that, obviously this is deeply tragic, and we're going to do everything that we can to ensure justice is done, to ensure that our communities are made whole. And with respect to the events last night, obviously there were folks in their community who were grieving, who showed up initially at the location where Daunte Wright was killed, and were gathering, and obviously later on, as the night went on and unfolded, there were a series of events that led to an escalation in the protest later on into the evening. Later on, I did issue a curfew, which was in place until 6 a.m. this morning, to ensure that we're taking steps to keep the community safe. We do want to emphasize that we believe strongly in people's rights to gather and to express their grievance and to protest. That is a fundamental American right, and we're going to protect that right. And at the same time, we're going to also work to protect the safety of our community. And so we'll now open it up for questions.
Is it going to be sent over to the Hennepin County Attorney's Office for possible charges?
Chief?
It's far too early to know which authority is going to be prosecuting, if it's their prosecution. So I don't know how that's going to play out. Unfortunately, the BCA normally is present here during these types of conferences. But what I've understood is the releasing of video this early in a situation is not something that they condone. They leave it up to me to do that. And as I decided to do that, they're not part of this conversation. They're not part of this press conference at this time.
Why did you decide to do this today?
I felt